Hello, you guys. Welcome back. Welcome in. I think most of you are used to this. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, bless your hearts. I had written down today, I used to be, in another life, I was a reporter. I've already blessed the camera and the table and everything. So, I was a reporter, and in that job, the question is key. If you're interviewing somebody, you want to think about what you want to ask, and your ignorance. If you really don't know, your ignorance is your helper. You don't fake what you don't know. You don't pretend. Okay, sorry. You don't pretend to know the difference. Is it these? It is. You don't pretend to know what you don't know. It's your ally. And I think that's true in a lot of cases. If you have the question is about the quest and looking for answers. And sometimes it's answers from people we know in our environment, and sometimes it's answers from spirit. And sometimes the answers come and they're not what we want to hear. Sometimes they only prompt more questions. Some people really don't like to be questioned. It's the whole thing. So as a reporter, I learned never to hide my ignorance. And it's disarming to the person you're interviewing if you just say, look, I don't understand this issue, or I don't understand where you're coming from. Can you help me understand it? And then they usually do. They'll talk to you. If you go in like you know it already, people clam up. And that's true not only with somebody you're interviewing, but with your nearest and dearest. You don't want to come off like you know it already. You might think you do, but you could be surprised by what you learn. The only thing I wanted to touch on right at the beginning is I was talking to a counselor. This was a few years ago, and she said, "What's going on?" And I said, "I'm a donkey on the edge." And she was like, "What does that mean?" Well, I believe it's from Shrek, which is a cartoon where there's a donkey who's a major character, and he's being driven kind of crazy by, I can't even remember what. And he says, "I'm a donkey on the edge," like I'm about to lose it. And I think that's, often, like today, a few times already, I've felt like a donkey on the edge. And there's a certain grace in that, if you can accept it, if you can recognize, and being on the edge too can be a good thing. On the edge of a revelation or on the edge of an understanding. Donkey on the edge. Wheel of Fortune. It can be a card of karmic destiny, accepting your destiny. It's the wheel is turning, and it's going to tell you something about who you are and the karmic path you're on. And, we're always free to say no, not going there. But this would suggest the universe is encouraging forward movement. The wheel is turning. Do you get on board? Sometimes we don't want to get on board. We're tired or whatever it is. Is it this one? Okay, I've got a little pile here where I'll work with that later. Oh, wow, Emperor. Card of Aries, Divine Masculine, gaining control. So this is somebody who may be stepping into their destiny, you know, affirming, yes, this is what I want to do. I'm in accord with what the universe wants me to do. 2 cards of Major Arcana right off the bat. This is a heavy-hitting psychic energy of forward movement, of accepting that you're in control to a degree. Even Emperor doesn't. I mean, part of what Emperor does is concede that he can control she, they up to a certain point, and then you got to give it over. Aries, give it over. Okay, these following Emperor, Knight of Wands, in that same fire energy as the Emperor, Aries. It's forward movement. It's inspired. It's fast. It's, you know, in fire energy, Emperor, and now I know what to do and how to do it. That's very Emperor-esque. Wands speak to doing something. Fire energy speaks to doing something, and this is the one who's gonna do it. Okay, under wheel, Queen of Cups. A card of feeling. Cups energy. And it's a feminine on the card. Doesn't have to be a gender feminine, but I'm getting the feeling it is. The feeling it is. Somebody who's comfortable in that element of water. You know, connection, love. Knight, King of Pentacles. So we have Queen of Cups, King of Pentacles. And it seems to me we had that combo recently. This is the one who shows up. This is a masculine energy, somebody who cares enough, Pentacles energy, to show up in 3D and be present, Pentacles energy. It's Earth energy. It's a here I am. You know, real, authentic, not hiding. You know, and sticking around to find out what this one feels, perhaps about them. It might be time for these two to get on a karmic path. And maybe they share this Emperor energy of forward movement and self-assurance and, you know, the willingness to kind of stake a claim, to say yes to the karmic path. There will always be that question we talked about at the beginning. But this is a knight maybe going on the quest, you know, taking up that firebrand of the wand. Ten of Pentacles. In that earth energy of the King of Pentacles. This can be a card of home, of the group, of long-term, you know, both parties being there for each other over the long haul. You know, Knight of Wands is known for stepping in, stepping out, stepping in, stepping out. It's a bit of a, not immature energy, but, you know, volatile. But then you get open-heartedness and stability. Queen of Cups, King of Wands. And this coupling of the two, along with Wheel of Fortune and Emperor, it's their destiny. And Divine Masculine is ready to move on it. Emperor, Knight of Wands. Queen of Cups. Two of Pentacles. That can be a choice. And in the way this reading is going, it can also be a question. You know, is it this or is it that? Is it this or is it that? You know, what will I have to change in my life? Because this is called the dance of change sometimes. But it's Pentacles energy in 3D in my life. What will I have to change? And there's a decision to be made. You know, will we walk the karmic path together? Wheel of Fortune, 10 of Pentacles, you know, in our lives. And this is like the blended life. And I think it's the answer is in the affirmative, you know, a kind of I do. This can be a card of marriage, you know, establishing a place together, a home together long term. Three of Wands. That could be a card of manifestation, you know, of intent, Wands energy, purpose, direction. Somebody's determined and saying yes to the karmic path. And I think it's both parties because here we have both parties. But then there's this card of manifestation, like, you know, these two didn't get there by chance. They've manifested this new possibility, this forward movement, the turning of the wheel in their favor. They're signing up for perhaps a long-term relationship. They've made the choice. Both of them. You know, the two. Both of them. This masculine, this established, abundant person is ripe for the long term. And Queen of Cups might have taken some convincing. Or maybe they both manifested it. This is in the energy of Empress. So that's why I'm saying it may have been instigated. You know, we can do this, let's go. By Divine Masculine. Whoever's taking the action, and the action is to go for it. Knight of Wands. On Wheel of Fortune, we have Four of Cups. You know, it's just a little different in this deck. Here's the person in a meditative posture, you know, sitting on a lotus leaf, surrounded by lotus leaves. There's something about this that's very spiritual and meditative. Like, again, there may have been a quest, right? Karmic destiny. A question about, can I open my heart here? But this has got the two birds on either side, right? The two herons. That happens to be what I consider my spirit animal. And what's predominant here is the overflowing cup. And it's kind of like not a pay it forward, but, you know, allow the feelings to flow. Allow the heart to open. If she took convincing to make this choice, it looks like she's feeling her way through it. He, she, they, but accepting this destiny. Four of Cups can be a card of, you know, not loneliness really, but it can be disappointment. It can be something illusory. You know, where is the love kind of thing. And again, I'm getting the idea of needing to be not convinced, but she may have a lot of questions, you know, because this is a card of choice. You know, are you really present? Are you present this time? Both Pentacles attributes. Are you here? Are you really here? What makes this Queen of Cups question whether they're really here? And there is a bit of a sense of deferment, because this is a card of the future. You know, but there's this divine timing. So it may be down the road a little bit, in divine timing, What isn't in divine timing? Because I think Spirit, the forces in the universe that govern this karmic path, the circle turning in our favor, won't let us down. Somebody may have gotten the message, the divine masculine, go for it. It's kind of like the flag at the beginning of the race. I don't watch car races, but don't they go like that and everybody's off. Often running, made of wands. Wands are very fast energy. Pentacles are slow energy. So this might have been like a question for a long time. Might have taken 2 years of something for this, for these two to believe that they belong together. 2 of Cups, 2 of Pentacles, and 10 of Pentacles. Tell us about Knight of Wands. Owie, 5 of Swords. That can be a card of division. In traditional Rider-Waite, it shows the battlefield and the winner and the loser. And see the black and the white here. The black and the white here. The 2 sides of the coin. Pentacles can speak to money. I just think it's metaphorically here, the 2 sides of the same coin. But there's perhaps been a miscommunication. Swords speak to that. Or misunderstanding. Or something that made them combative before. Now there's an emphasis on accord. And with this 2 sides business, I had also written down the idea of the 2 sides was in my head. And I'd written down, Montagues and the Capulets, the Sharks and the Jets, the Republicans and the Democrats. They're 2-sided issues that we want to fight for. And it can be, in terms of belief, sword energies. But I think in traditional Rider-Waite, there are 2 characters leaving the battlefield and one who thinks they've won the day. Who thinks it, sword energy. And I think the leaving the battlefield part is what this one is doing. And it may be the Emperor, divine masculine, who, because often the Emperor is in control of a lot of people, it's big boss energy, might have made the decision to choose love over war. It's make love, not war. Queen of Cups, 2 of Pentacles, 5 of Swords. Tell us about this King of Pentacles, 5 of Cups. Yeah, well, somebody was hurt. 4 of Cups, 5 of Cups. There have been, this is a great deal of feelings involved in this. Queen of Cups, 4 of Cups, 5 of Cups. That might have been why Queen of Cups has taken a long time to make this decision. There is a rainbow here. It's like the promise of, it's the rainbow signifies a bond between, a promise between, in the Noah image, between the divine and the 3D. We will not flood you out again. And there are 2 cups upright, and then the predominant 3, 2 cups are predominant. The 3 of Cups have been spilled. There might have been like a breach or an argument that caused a breach of the friendship. The 3 spilled cups. 3 of Cups can speak to friendship and reunion and, fellow feeling. Emperor may be rushing in to address that. I know what to do now. Let's move forward. We have a future together. 3 of Wands, 10 of Pentacles. Let's build, Pentacles energy, a future together. And I think King of Pentacles may have dealt out some hurt and may have been dealt hurt. You know, hurt people kind of thing. Empress star. That's a card of Aquarius, of healing, of the overview. You know, this is sort of like somebody's gaining control of what's good for, in the bigger picture, Aquarian energy, what's good for the collective, not just the individual, for the collective, for the family, for the lives that are going to be joined. Card of healing. And it's also like this inexhaustible source, you know, down, it's an air energy, but she's dipping a toe in the water and the rings are moving out. It's some kind of movement that like reverberates out. So in air energy, the star card Aquarius, we have this also in air energy. And I think that Divine Masculine, Emperor Aries, is rushing forward to address, you know, what has divided them, you know, or just the issue of division in general, like being on opposite sides. Now there's some kind of consensus. Like perhaps we've both been hurt in the future, but we can do better. We belong together. Is that Pat Benatar? We belong, we belong, we belong, we belong together. One more. Empress. Makes me want to cry. Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine. You know, the yin, the yang, the balance of the two. This is a card of balance in 3D. And in the 5D, can these two come together like this? One would think, even though there's been hurt, even though there may have been division before, or some kind of separation, 5 of Swords, there's a healing of that. Star card in that same air energy. Divine Feminine is a card of Taurus and Libra. So earth and air together, the reconciliation of yin and yang, of apparent opposites. And I think there's I'm just hearing, you know, say yes. You know, don't hide what you don't know. There's always going to be a question. Which way? What do we do? Where do we, you know, what can we agree on? There's an answer to the question here. Emperor, Empress, in balance, and it could be internal, right? It doesn't have to be about a love relationship between a masculine and a feminine. It could be the internal balance between the heart, which has been hurt but is healing, and a question, am I authentic? It's like checking in with yourself. True face. Am I present? I'm not reminded, and I'll stop after this, but I had also written down the importance of staying in the moment. You know, we always hear that, stay in the moment. But sometimes the moment entails working out what comes next. What comes next? You know, it isn't always like stay in the moment not in your head. You know, there's this sort of not in your head here, but in that same head energy is this brilliance, understanding, the guides leading you to the healing place. Star card, the healing place. And with the major arcana being wheel, star, emperor, empress, what do you think? I think it's a lovely reading, and I hope it's for us, or most of us, and we're not there yet. But we've manifested perhaps out of the divisive energy this wonderful balance, internally and externally. You can't find it in the world if it's not already in your own heart. In your own heart. You can't find it in the world in 3D if it's not already in your own heart. 5 of Cups, the hurt. Star card, the healing. Okay, on the board we have Taurus, Libra, and Empress. Aries in Emperor. Aquarius in the star. And wheel, this forward movement in our favor. Will we accept our karmic destiny? And it'll involve questions and quests, you know, the search for something. Wowie. And I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Yeah, but subscribe if you haven't, and all that stuff.